many years ago was the idea of there's the top, and in the top there's place for 5 great players and no more.
I get so inspired every time I talk to today's guest. He's a great friend. He's just totally fascinating as a musician, and I am always excited to find out what he's up to next. I'm Jason Heath. This is Contrabass Conversations, and we are chatting with Diego Zecharies today. We've had him on the podcast before, and I just love everything he's about and up to. It's been so great getting to know him over these years and working with him in Spain, working with him in Mexico, seeing him here in the United States at bass festivals, and seeing what he's up to. And what we're chatting about today is his latest album, which he is in the process of releasing, and he's releasing it in an interesting way. So we're talking about that today too. It's got new pieces by Simón García, a new concerto, which is very cool. Diego's arrangement for bass and strings of the Grand Tango by Piazzolla, and 3 tangos for string orchestra from Andrés Martín. We talk about the inspiration for this project, the power of taking charge and not waiting for permission. I love that about Diego. How cool it is bringing new works into the world, and much more. Be sure to check out the show notes for a link to our past conversations with Diego. Can't say enough good things about him. And thank you also to our sponsors, D'Addario Strings, Upton Bass, Steve Swan String Bass, Colston Music, The Bass Violin Shop, and Coda Modasti and A440 Violin Shop. More on them later. And we'll be featuring a couple of excerpts from Diego's upcoming album. And this is being released, as we talk about here, on YouTube, track by track. So definitely follow along, check out the links to the show notes, and stay tuned for what this exciting artist has up next. All right, without further ado, here's my conversation with Diego Zecharies. Thanks for being down for chatting, and actually it's great. The guy that helps me with the podcast and everything, he actually sent out an email about your new project today, and I was like, wow. I mean, we didn't even coordinate that. He and I.
Wow.
Because he just goes on and looks at what's happening in the bass world and tries to find something interesting to email about every Tuesday. And I was like, hey, you Diego's project. And so how cool is that? So cool. Yeah, let's dig into this thing, man. Tell me about that. And I watched the clip that you got out now. And when people are hearing this, there'll probably be more out. But tell me about this new project that you've been working on. It's very exciting.
Look, it's like every time you start a project, you have one target. No, you want to do a project because you want to get something, and then like every time that you put all your energy and you converge a lot of people doing their best version, no, from each person, and I don't know, you gather people, like creative people, to do things that they believe on. And then with the perspective, now that the project is finished, I see what I learned from that. And the project is much bigger than what I thought in the beginning. First of all, I wanted to record the new piece from Simone that I commissioned for him. And for me, having Simone here and almost playing all his music, like it's the first player that plays that at my studio at his house. So we chat about it. I'm in the middle of the process, like public, like a spectator. I'm just looking at him working. And now arrived this concert that I love it because somehow, as my wife says, I'm a rock and roll man. I'm not a baroque guy. So rock and roll music, somehow funky is what I like. Yeah. And then I was thinking about that like 2 days ago before I wrote to you that now that I look at that in the perspective, as we say with the newspaper of Monday, we see the things better, and I realized that somehow to commission music from composers to spend your money, your time on recording that, because it's a really big investment.
Yeah.
That will never get back that money.
Right.
But then you learn a lot. I learned a lot by the process of being conducting and soloist at the same time. I put together an orchestra in a city that they don't have orchestra, so they now have an orchestra since this project. So there's things that we are creating all together. We are creating something that they call it space, And I think for my students, the thing that I will teach them about that is not the pieces or the way of playing that, is the idea of that each one of us, we should make the place for things. Because many years ago was the idea of, there's the top, and in the top there's place for 5 great players and no more,
Yeah.
And then the idea was like in the top there is place for everyone. And now my idea is it's not any more pyramidal, it's horizontal. There is place for each one. So we need to make our space. We need to make our own. We need to believe in something and go for it. If you have the possibility to spend money on recording it, okay, do it in the best way you can. Try to be one step ahead. I hired a guy from Madrid that he did also the video with Andrés Martín, the Tango duo we did with Andrés. But I took them from Madrid to Galicia, to this nice hall. I got this nice hall, 14 video cameras. The radio was recording, and many people together of making something that before that didn't exist.
Yeah.
And this is the most important thing of this project, is to understand that we are all able to make things happen in our possibilities instead of what you can do. But it's also a must. You need to believe in what you do. You need to commission your music. You need to play it. You need to bring it to the best level you can, and you need to spread it and share it with everybody. That's why this project is coming out in a CD, but I think I'm not going to print a lot of CDs, because it's going to YouTube, everything.
Yeah.
The idea is to spread the word, to make people know more music, the kids to be inspired, looking at you, say, oh, I want to play that piece, And this is the main thing that we need to now that we have the possibilities of recording something and putting it in YouTube and spreading all over the world, and someone in Australia can listen to your recording you did yesterday without spending $1 on it. We need to use that.
Yeah.
To make things happen, because I don't know, you go to internet that is full of things. People are not really listening to things people are posting. Facebook, you have so much information all the time. So it's good to create a content that is interesting, and when you don't expect to get anything back from that, it's giving you a space of creating things, of doing what you really think you need to do, what you believe, and probably, Jason, in 1 year, I will have another beliefs, because it's and that's the idea. That's the idea. That's what I wanted to. That's what I want to share to my students and to other colleagues. Guys, let's do things like that. Let's create nice contents. Let's keep place for composers. Let's keep place for orchestras. Let's take a challenge of being conducting soloist or whatever it is, and not to wait for someone that comes to you and like to the Beatles in the 60s and say, you want to record this? But that will never happen to us. So we need to go for it.
Yeah, it's a different world, right? Yeah, it's a very, very, but how cool. And you're, so many things in your life are just a great example of like creating something that wasn't there before, that entrepreneurial spirit with the conducting that you do, and then what you've done in Montevideo, building up the bass world there and teaching. I mean, it's really exciting. And I was so it was so cool to watch those tango videos when they came out. And I remember talking to Andres about the recording process. And yeah, you mentioned like 25 cameras or something insane like that. Like how on earth? I mean, and it's just so it's such a beautiful visual experience. In addition to it's great music, but like how did that idea come to be? This incredibly in-depth and just artistically fascinating.
It's like Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs said you want to be the best, so work with the best people you can.
Yeah.
So I have the luck that I know a lot of talented people, and I try to work with them, even if I need to wait a year that they have time, even if I need to invest more money, or I don't know, even if it's more difficult, of course, because talented people, good people are very busy. Mm-hmm. But working with the people you really like what they do, that they inspire you, even if they say the opposite, because they come to the music, the bass, the new pieces, and okay, you are giving your quote of inspiring, but they're inspiring me. Mm-hmm. So then, when everything comes together, then you see that there are 14 cameras, and and cameras that are flying around you, but this is coming from the people you hired to do it because you believe on them. You give them your carte blanche. You do whatever you want. I play the bass. This is the piece. I'm yours. So I think to work with people you believe on is the best way of creating things that you will watch or listen after and say, nice. I didn't think about that like this, but that is much better of my idea. It came different.
Yeah.
And that's it. Many people together gathering for one goal that is not financial. That is not that we're not getting a cup after that or a golden CD from nothing. Right. We're not getting nothing from that. Just the idea of making things that we can share, and we do it in the top of our level, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So to work with the best people you can, that's the recipe.
Well, and working with someone like Simone and commissioning from Simone is, another one of the people that I just can't say enough good things about. And actually, I was just bringing up Andres again. I was just playing the California duets with Andres in Australia. Nice. We said, well, how can we not play that if we're both two people from the Baja California and, U.S. California going to play? And I remember hearing you play the California duet with Andres, I believe, back at his event maybe 3 years ago or something like that.
Tijuana, right?
Yeah. So how the commissioning of this new concerto from Simone work? I mean, you're in the same town. I mean, you're neighbors and collaborate a lot. But like, how'd that work? Did he have an idea? You had an idea? Like, how does that work with somebody like Simone or somebody well?
It's very easy.
Yeah.
It's very easy because he was writing a lot of things before, and a lot of pieces, and I always tried the music before the music goes out. So I'm always listening or playing or trying to the passages and telling him, I like it, I don't like it, I can play it, cannot play, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's really listening what I say, but I'm trying to. But one day I came to him and say, Simon, how comes that you write music for everyone but for me? Let's do something. And he told me, what you want? And I told him, you know what I like to play. So he told me, okay, I will write something like fantasy for the bass or something. Let's try. And then like 1.5 years later, I came with the idea and say, okay, man, if you write the music, I will find an orchestra and let's record it and let's do it. Let's do this that happens now. And he told me, okay, so I will start to work on that. So I got the music like a month before the recording, and it suits for me. Somehow he knows me, so it's very easy. Yeah. It worked very easy with him. That he really, when he goes for that, he closed all the doors, he works on this, and then suddenly from his computer, music are coming out, and then you need to play it. But it's cool because he knows how to write for the instrument, and he knows me. So somehow to work with him is very, very easy. Yeah. Because I also know what he wants to hear, so somehow it's helping me.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you put this orchestra together? How did you assemble this orchestra in a town that has no had no orchestra?
Because there's I know many young players. I'm here since 16 years. Mm-hmm. So many of them I know them by the time they were working youth orchestras. I coach them, some of them, but we're talking about people around the 30s.
Yeah.
And they are all living in this city, Lugo, that is 100 kilometers from here, that they have a beautiful hall, that is the hall of the recording. And they try to do ensembles, but it never really work it out. So I say, okay, let's do that. Let's do this project. And, I record everything. I will be the producer of everything. You record a piece. I record 2 pieces. We do a CD. So they record the Tres Tangos from Andrés Martín for string orchestra. That was great that they choose this music. I prepare them also musically. And then I ask them, okay, I do the CD. I give you the CD. I do the video for you. We go in YouTube. We will make this orchestra keep alive after this project. And then we try to repeat the concert with one of the bass concertos and the piece in the CD. We need to repeat it 8 times in all the community here, that is like 5 big cities. Mm-hmm. That to make it happen. So now they have a bureau, they have an office, they have a manager, and they are working on the new dates. And somehow it happened. People, the publicum in the concert were really up to it, and they love the orchestra. They played very, very nice. They needed just maybe to have a target or an idea to follow. I didn't need to work a lot on that. It was just give the ideas and be inspiring them somehow and saying, okay, let's go for it, Yeah. They needed just this start. And now they're there. They did now last week another concert with another bass player. So
how cool is that? There was almost this ensemble there. They just needed a little bit of a push to get exactly. Something. Yeah, they needed a Diego to come in and just give him that.
No. They need to be convinced to do something, and luckily I convinced them to come after me. Yeah. But very nice people, young people that want to play. Now they have an orchestra. String orchestra. So I'm looking forward to do another project with them.
Yeah.
So that's great.
When I was recently chatting with Gary and Eric of Upton Bass, I asked them, how did they do what they do? How do they build their presence and be so top of mind among bassists around the world? Here's what they said.
My ego doesn't want to say this, right? And Eric's won't like it either. But because of the timing, we couldn't do, again, what we've done.
Yeah. And what they have done is absolutely extraordinary. From their beginnings as an accessories shop online to now making over 120 basses a year. They're coming up, as I record this, on 1,700 basses. They've got an army of satisfied customers who bought multiple basses. They're just really doing great things. They do great work and stand behind their products. Check them out at uptonbass.com. And thank you so much for sponsoring the podcast, guys. This episode is brought to you by Steve Swan String Bass. Steve has been active in the bass world and also the guitar world for years. Here's a bit from our live podcast taping with Steve on how he got into that business. Guitars and basses.
Guitars and basses.
Okay, how did that happen?
They're both helper instruments. I've always played the rhythm guitar, quite often with bass lines moving, either in swing style, jazz style, or country style. Bass is the same thing, supporting the band, the group of people you're playing with. So I've always felt like I was a support person.
I love how Steve describes being a support person, and he is certainly that for the bass community here on the West Coast, here in the San Francisco Bay Area. His shop is located just south of San Francisco, and he has a large retail showroom with about 70 basses on display. And these basses are professional top-of-the-line basses. These basses are student-level basses and everything in between. They're beautifully set up. So if you're looking for a bass or you know someone who is, be sure to check out Steve at steveswanstringbass.com. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast, Steve. This episode is brought to you by Encoda. By the way, that's spelled Nkoda. This app is like Netflix or Spotify for sheet music, and they are working with over 100 of the major publishers like Boozy & Hawkes, Baronwriter, and more to provide sheet music on your device. I have an iPad Pro, but this also works on Android, and I have so many pieces from Encoda loaded up on it. I have all the Beethoven symphonies and their scores. I'm circling things. I'm flipping between the score and the part to show students. I totally love this app, and people like Sir Simon Rattle are singing its praises. It really is the next thing for musicians. It's a subscription service, and you can download Encoda from your app store today for a free trial. That's Nkoda. And thanks for sponsoring the podcast. My practicing companion, Modacity, this awesome app, it is so great for getting you to really think about your practicing. And there's what's called a deliberate practice mode. It tracks everything that you are improving upon and time spent in every piece. It's just so great. Here is founder and CEO of Modacity, Mark Gelfo, on what the app does.
I use the deliberate practice feature in Modacity a ton. So what I'm logging my improvements, I improved my articulation today by using this strategy, and then I see that in my log. So I see all the improvements that I made, the strategy that led to that improvement. I see the star rating as well as the time spent.
It is so satisfying to be able to look back on your history like Mark's describing. I do that all the time, and it keeps me inspired and energized and feeling like I'm really making progress. Learn more at modacity.co, and if you visit our site, we've got a special offer for lifetime access for this app. Thank you so much for sponsoring the podcast, Modacity. And you also you have your arrangement, right, of the Piazzolla, the Grand Tango, right? So that you recorded that as well.
Yes,
right.
Yes,
okay.
I did an arrangement for a string orchestra.
Okay. How cool is that? Now, was tango a big part of your life growing up? I mean, I know that like Argentina, I think of tango. Montevideo is just across the giant river, right? Is tango big there like it is in Argentina? And was tango was tango a thing for you growing up?
Yes, I remember listening to tango in every corner. When I was a kid, like you go to take the newspaper or the magazine, and the newspaper seller was listening to tango. You went to the supermarket, there was tango. My grandfather picked me up with his pickup, and he was listening to tango, and I hated it. And he told me, "Look, one day you will love it." I said, "Sí, okay." But then he had right. And then Buenos Aires is a huge mega city with a million more musicians. They took the tango to another level. They took the tango to the border. And then you have Piazzolla's and everything that came after that. In Uruguay, we did have much more an African influence because we got the slaves in the beginning of the 19th century. Mm-hmm. And then the slavery was out, so they were free people, but they brought their music. And their music is very African music with a lot of percussion on it, called candombe. And the music from Uruguay is an African music. But in Argentina, they didn't have that, so they are more attached to the European culture. So the tango became more the traditional for Argentina than for Uruguay, but we are both the place where the biggest singers and players, they are half from Argentina, half from born in Uruguay, and they were playing in both sides of the river all the time. Wow. Just we are a small country, you know. And the next festival, I make you come to the next festival in Montevideo. You will see that.
I would love to see it. You'd be proud of me. I just played my first tango gig in about 2 months ago. Yeah, and learned all the like different techniques and that kind of thing. And yeah, it's what a great. And so what was it like arranging the Piazzolla for string orchestra? That must have been really enjoyable. Were you just working off of the piano part? I mean, that's a lot to flesh that out. What was that like?
Yeah, look, was I think it was during Christmas. My wife, as you remember, my wife is Italian, so during Christmas we go always to Italy, and it was one of these holidays, and the original is for piano and cello.
Yeah.
So I took the piano part. And I started to work on that on my computer. It was like 2 weeks. sitting on that and discovering and listening and somehow learning the piece in a totally different way,
Yeah.
And it was great. It was great because that gave me the possibility to play it with orchestra. That thing that nobody could. Now, a year ago, the principal player of Vina, Odon Ratz, he did it, but I sent him the arrangement, and he did a new arrangement on that. So somehow it's opening doors. Why not?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and adding for the repertoire for solo bass and string orchestra, which is such a great combination, and that's fantastic.
Yes. I'm sure that if Astor Piazzolla was alive today and he could see us playing his cello concerto on the bass, he would write something for us for sure. He would do it. He would do it. But that time the bass wasn't played that way, and the tango bass is another story. They use really high action gut strings, a lot of rosin, because the motto is if they don't hear you when you play, you don't get kicks. So you need to be very loud. So Grand Tango is a bit difficult to play in that with that setup. For sure. But I think it fits for the bass very good. Yeah.
So I've seen the preview of the coming project. So when is everything getting launched in terms of the videos on YouTube, album out? Do you have a date set?
Yeah, look, I will go by movement. I think in the beginning of January, after the 6th, 7th of January, second week of January, I will open the first movement of the concerto entire, and then second is also ready. The third is going to be next week ready. So I think every 3 weeks I will start to publish all the movements, and the CD is going to be ready also when the Grand Tango is published. So it's going to be in the first months of 2 months of
that's a good way to do it. Yeah, we're all going to be waiting for the next movement. We're going to be it's like a weekly series.
Exactly. To be continued. Stay tuned. It's like watching Breaking Bad. You're waiting for the next chapter. Maybe I should publish it at Netflix.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you could with the videos like you've been doing. I mean, it's incredible the visuals, at least on that duo.
To play with Andrés is always happiness.
Yeah,
it's another guy that is always taking you to another level, a level that you alone you cannot get. But mixing with someone like Andrés, you reach other things, other way of thinking, other space, by playing too. So it's always the same. You need to play with people that inspire you, that people that really you look after, that is great to listen to them, and also that they are good friends.
Yeah.
This is making the things even much easier, and you feel more open to go after. And today I got good news from Pirastro. So they're going to sponsor also the videos.
Oh, great!
So Remic from the microphones. Do you remember this? Do you talk to the guy?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think they're great. Yeah.
Okay, but did you talk to him? Did he send you?
I'm sorry. Oh no, what Diego's talking about is this. What is that?
Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, it's okay.
I didn't know we were on record. I'm sorry.
Oh no! What?
What's this? You remember that?
Yes. Tell me what. So Diego's holding up this incredibly interesting device, and tell me what because it's a spot for your end pin, and
exactly.
It amplifies your bass in this. Well, I don't even know how to describe it, but it makes a discernible sonic impact on the instrument. I mean, you get more sound or a bigger sound, or like what does that device have a name? What?
Yes, it's a decoupler. We call it decoupler.
Okay.
Decoupler from Opus Magnum is the model.
Opus Magnum. Okay.
Opus Magnum, and it's made by the people that are doing isolation for studios for pianos, for recording studios. It's DMSD.
Okay.
I think it's Dave Mastrodonato Sound Design. It's an Italian guy that he did this. This decoupler is made from aerospatial material. It's like it's like a metal, but it's light, and inside has a different kind of gummy. I don't know how to call that. And then you put your bass there, and this isolates the bass from the floor. Because we're used to hear that the floor vibrates when we play the bass, not the walls vibrate.
Yeah.
And we think this is good, but actually this is dirt. It's dirty in the sound, it's just... Because we don't really need it in the play. We need actually the high and the lower and less of the middle range. And this is taking everything out and it's giving you like 6 or 7 decibel more. So you hear yourself better, people hear you better. It's very easy to take with you because it's small. It's like a lead pin surface.
Right. Yeah, it's like a rock stop. Very small. Yeah.
Very small. It costs less than a set of strings, and it's really making a difference on the sound. So they're one of my sponsors. Remike is one of those, and now Pirastro also. So I'm always with these 3. There are also people that are inspiring me to keep going, they're helping me to do that.
One of the great bass players of all time, Fred Zimmerman, former principal bass of the New York Philharmonic. He was Barry Colston of Colston Music. He was Barry's bass teacher. Here's Barry on Fred Zimmerman.
Anybody that knew Fred would say he was one of a kind. I mean, the man was probably the most talented, the most giving. He was the most interesting. Not only was he an amazing teacher, an amazing performer, he was an amazing artist also. He was truly a great artist.
Along with Fred Zimmerman, people like Milt Hinton, Homer Mensch, Orrin O'Brien, and so many others have had their basses worked on at Colston's or had instruments made for them by Colston's. Thank you, Barry, for everything that you've done for the bass world. And folks, check them out at colston.com. And thank you so much for sponsoring the podcast.
Hi, my name is Andrés Martín. I'm an Argentinian composer and double bass player living in Tijuana, Mexico. I play in a professional orchestra, also teaching and performing as a soloist in festivals around the world. After trying almost every string set in the market for the last 20 years, I found Kaplan string to be the only ones that can allow me to use all the different colors and techniques I've been working at during my entire career. I use both solo and orchestral sets, and I love the tone, tension, thickness, and the wide range of dynamics and harmonic resonance and timbre I can get with them. For me, they have the perfect balance between thickness and flexibility, making them a true pleasure under my fingers and bow. I'm happy that finally I have a set that makes me happy when I have to play in any situation.
This episode is brought to you by the Bass Violin Shop, which opened in 2001 as a small double bass workshop in Greensboro, North Carolina. Today, they're staffed by 3 full-time, highly skilled bass luthiers, and they specialize in double bass sales, rentals, setup, restoration, and repair. For nearly 20 years, they have satisfied thousands of clients by offering quality instruments, knowledgeable service, reliable repairs, and superior restorations at affordable prices. They proudly offer the largest variety of fine basses and bows in the Southeast. You can find something at every price point by makers such as Thomas Martin, Bill Lakeberg, Romano Solano, Lemur Music, all Shen models, K, Epiphone, and bows by Louis Morizot, Fuchs, Nürnbergo, Arcos Brazil, and others. For more information and current inventory, visit their website at bassviolinshop.com and be sure to follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Every violin shop has its own unique origin story, and here's A440's Michael Spadero on how the shop got started.
My mother-in-law started this business in 1982, and she was a professional cellist. But the story she told me was that Camille, my sister-in-law, is a violinist with the LA Phil. Mm-hmm. And when she was maybe in high school, her violin was being repaired in a shop. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, the shop owner had some legal problem where, like, the Cook County Sheriff or someone confiscated all the stuff.
Okay.
So the only way for my mother-in-law to get her daughter's violin back was to buy all the contents of the shop at a police auction.
Okay. Wow.
So since she had all these instruments, I think that's what initially made her start a shop.
It's a great shop. I've gone there for years, and thank you so much for sponsoring the podcast, Michael. And folks, check them out at a440violinshop.com. I'll make sure to link up to all those, and I'm writing this down. I'll make sure I get that Opus Magnum in there, because I was in A Coruña with Diego in March of this year, and I was trying some of his basses, not just without using that device, and then using that device. And I mean, it was remarkable. Just the tonal difference and the volume difference, and it's one of the more compelling bass accessories I've seen recently.
Of course. Look, I'm a bit nerd of all this. I'm trying all the possibilities, trying everything, and you try things, and later on you take them out. You don't use them anymore. Because somehow you get used to and not convincing at the beginning, and then you change your mind and doesn't. But with that, I can't imagine going to play to no place without. It's part of my. I take my bow, take my bass, and take this.
That's cool. I can see why.
Yeah. And these people, are really helping. They're also inspiring me to do, because sounds better. I hear myself better, so I can play better. I can do things that maybe before I couldn't do. So it's all this, looking after something, new music, playing better, trying to transmit a sound that can make people to fall in love with the sound.
Yeah.
And that's it. More than that, is no need.
I'm curious what the experience of being the conductor and the soloist is like, because I've done some conducting, I've done some soloing, but I've never done both for the same event, especially as you're recording. Was that a challenge? What was that like?
It was a challenge. In the beginning, was a big challenge, and then during that, I start to think that it's a very natural thing. So the way I listen to them, they need to listen to me and to listen to each other. Mm-hmm. So I work all the time, and then we need to listen to each other. That's the main thing. You don't need a conductor. You don't need a guy there that is telling you how to play. We just need to get together, and doesn't need to be together. Just the question of to feel together. Mm-hmm. And I learned a lot on that, and then listening to the recording, the way I was driving the rehearsals, I learned that somehow in my head I was listening to things while playing and taking decisions, and then when we cut, I say, okay, let's go to bar 72, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom. I didn't give to the people maybe enough time to react, because I was already thinking before. Next time I will take it with a little more of a space to give everyone to follow, but it was an incredible experience. I mean, next time I don't want to play with a conductor.
Yeah.
Because you also, as a soloist, of course, you need to know the music, and you need to know everyone's music and to hear every player. But if you don't have a conductor, it's on you.
Yeah.
So you really hear everybody. Suddenly your ears are like, you have a panoramic ears that you hear everything, and you learn a lot from that. And as an orchestra player, being soloist and conducting at the same time and listening to the basses on the back, different from the front, you learn a lot also, that things that you apply when you go to play in the orchestra. So I think it's something that if you have the chance to do, everyone has the chance to do, must do it, because we really learn things that there's no other way to try.
Isn't that an interesting experience? Get especially being on the podium and conducting, and then going back to the bass section, which I know you do both of. Whether in the orchestra in Galicia or for and then the orchestra that you conduct, or this project where you're soloing and playing bass. But it's so interesting just being up there up front, and how that affects then when I go back into the bass section, how I think of the orchestra and my role in it. It's really eye-opening for me.
a friend of mine, a very good conductor, that he was also a bass player, he told me, there is a problem if you go this way. Because when you conduct and you hear everything, when you sit down, you start to look at the conductors with another point of view. You know, you're judging everybody, judging everything. That happened to me a couple of months after I started conducting. But then somehow I think I can be a better section player or principal player in my orchestra because I know how it works when you conduct. I know the latency of the basses. I know the sound you need to get. I learn a lot from being in the podium to become a better section player. Mm-hmm. So I think it's part of the education to conduct an orchestra and to hear how it works from there and how difficult it is to conduct good. And then when you are on the other side, you can help a lot because you know how it is. No, you're not hanging on someone. You're doing with someone something. This I think is a great thing to be conducted and to come back to the section is good. It's very good.
Well, I'm such a fan of what you do, and what this project is really exciting, and I'm going to be following along. It's going to be like Netflix for me, the next couple months watching all of this, and just so congratulations on this, and it is very inspiring, and it's just so cool to see. It's a great example of not needing to wait to ask for permission to do something, but really going ahead and doing it. And you're doing something for the community. You're bringing something into this world. You're bringing all these pieces into this world that now other people get to experience and get inspired and learn and play. And I hope that some or all of these will be available for others to play, will be published. Because I know that people are going to want to do the Grand Tango with string orchestra. I'm sure, people are already asking for that, and the recording's not even out yet.
Yes. I'm working on that. That. I want to publish everything, but to make it also to publish it in a way that everybody can get it. Just if you want to play the piece, everything is there for you. Mm-hmm. Take the piece one step higher. Take it forward. Go for it and do new things with that. Yeah. So yes, we are working on the edition of all the work. And also, I'm thinking to publish my score, the bowings and fingerings and everything for people to take a look, and maybe it helps someone in some part of the pieces. Maybe why not? Yeah, it's there
for sure.
And Jason, is what you do for us is much more than we can do we as a single persons. Because talking about creating spaces, you are the king of it. You create a huge space for us to share what we do by the love of the instrument, and you find a new way of being inspiring to all of us in the 21st century. So we all need to thank you for what you do. To give place for us to do what we do.
Well, I appreciate it. I've loved having you be along in the journey. I remember chatting with you and Simone, and I think maybe Gabriele about Galicia Graves a few years ago. And then you and I got to sit down in Tijuana and talk, and we're talking again now, and hopefully many more in the future, for sure. And it's really, you're one of the few people that whenever I talk to you, I think, man, I'm not doing enough in my life. I'm not. You make me feel lazy, Diego. I'm like, it's just really exciting. And so I just, can't wait to follow along with this project and see what's coming next. And I just, I'll link up to everything, but I know people are going to really, just thank you for doing this and bringing this out into the world. It's really cool.
Thank you, Jason. And don't forget that when I have blue days, I remember your phrasing, you were talking to me. So, man, you're inspiring to me and to all of us a lot. So we need to thank you for all this. No, not me. Thanks, you, Jason. I hope I see you soon, man. I really want to meet with you with a beer.
I know. Well, it'll happen. It'll happen one of the sooner. Yeah, we'll make it happen soon. So I did. Okay. Yeah. Did I see you at ISB? You didn't. Did we?
I had to go, but I had to cancel it because of my services in the orchestra. I had to stay for the orchestra.
I was gonna say, I thought, I was like, that's right. I remember that now. Yeah. But like you were originally, it looked like it was going to happen, but it didn't work out. So yeah, hopefully.
I'm thinking for the next ISB, maybe bring in this Simón García concerto.
Oh, that'd be great.
The next ISB.
That'd be great.
Latest, we meet there.
Yeah, but hopefully before that. So.
Yeah, please. Of course. Yeah. Thank you, Jason. Thank you very, very much.
Diego, I love what you do, man. Keep it up. Folks, check out the show notes for all those links and also Diego's website and YouTube and follow along with this. It's just such an exciting thing. And that really cool amplifier, bass amplifier, the Opus Magnum product that we were talking about. I do have that linked up. Make sure to do that. Sometimes I forget. But that is so cool. And it makes such a difference on the sound of your bass. So definitely check it out. Hopefully I'll be doing a review of that sometime soon. If you enjoyed this show or any of the shows we've done, I'd love to hear from you. Feedback at contrabassconversations.com will put you in touch with me, and I just love hearing where people are from, what they're into, who they'd like to hear more from. That would be great. Contrabass Conversations is produced by Michael Cooper, Steve Hinchy, Trevor Jones, and Mitch Mooring. And Mitch just finished a beautiful new bass. Learn more about that and everything he does in the Dallas-Fort Worth area at mitchmooring.com. Thank you also to Krista Copper for cataloging and archiving everything we talk about here on the podcast. So helpful. Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Jason Heath, and we will see you again soon for more life on the low end of the spectrum.